community to become a catalyst for change. So we're just talking there about being, you know, a positive force, coming together, obviously bringing the energies, skills, knowledge other people have had. And I think, like, you know, we mentioned before, to actually bring and engage other people that were activists and bring them back into the fold, so to speak. Excuse me.
We need to build our own community so that we're not kind of as easily divided. And then, how do we navigate through structures that favour the communities? And then Colette's word, procrastination.
Which means what? Procrastination.
Procrastination, yeah. You know how we talk and we talk and we talk and there's no action. So it's a procrastination. But it was Hartley actually. Not talking and talking. Yeah, talking and talking. Yeah. So you know, more action needs to be done.
It's not about being exclusive. It's not about saying to others we're not interested, but it is about saying that, you know, if we are going to be good allies, then we need to strengthen our community to be good allies. If you're going to build a bridge between communities, the people of colour, you know, people who are politically back, you need a solid foundation to do that. One of the things that was good about the 70s and early 80s, sorry, I'm old. I was young then, looking back from my learning, and the things that you passed on to me, was when we marched together. So you were giving the example about your mum. Do you want to say something like that?
Yeah, my mother came and did the sit-ins at the church. I've got the pastor's name now because I was
The
very
Ascension.
Yeah, the Ascension. I was very young.
Reverend Mendes.
Yeah, that's right. She supported him, went on the marches, the police.
My granddad used to take food.
He
used to live up
Yeah. So all those things are kind of going on, and that was just basically support because of understanding that the political process wasn't working and was actually, you know, singly hurting, you know, people, and those were people that were crucial to the community. So everybody kind of rallied around Biraj Mendes. Sadly, he still got deported in the end. But those kind of things were going on because people understood political will and had, you know, just basically energy to do those things and, you know, support somebody.
A lot of Asians used to get battered. There's no way an Asian could open a shop in a white working class community because they get burnt out. The only place to open a shop was in the black community, right? And that history has been lost. And I myself and others have been involved in defending, saying we touch a black person because we recognise we have a common history of colonialism and imperialism, you touch us. And Paki bashing is something which a lot of Asians know nothing about. And we need to remember those histories, the commonality. A lot of Asian businesses were built in the black community, and there's a need to recognise those bridges which we've lost. So for me, there's a lot of history that we are actually denying ourselves.
One of the things that we've noticed in terms of work that we need to do is that what we don't have, I think, what we've not created, talking about looking to America and London, don't look to London because they haven't got it sorted out either, big time. And the other thing about building the assets, the alliances across and learning, and, you know, I think it's really important because young people on the streets today, that are youth, you know, the communities are very culturally diverse. And somehow, maybe because we've not managed to tell the stories in a way that kind of connects them, there's, at least in London, there's a lot of issues on the street amongst the BME communities that are playing out.
There's a lot of young people concerned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to something that Hartley said, which is about the rich history of Manchester Elders and and I'm not saying I disagree, but I also think there's a flip side to that as well. Because when we were organising the conference last year, one thing that we said right from the very beginning is that we recognise those people that have come before us, the activists, people that have worked tirelessly in the community, and we tried to get those people involved within the conference and in the planning team and everything else and stuff, and we just hit brick walls for a number of reasons.
Because everybody wants their space, everybody wants their say, and I think we need, it's a more, and you know, so the last thing I'll say on that is there's a Zulu saying which in English means celebrate your ancestors whilst they're still alive, right? And we talk about passing the baton. We've not got a process really for doing that, passing the baton. Because, you know, on Saturday when we had our strategy day, and a colleague of mine had given us a set of keys Ubele to use her building. And I don't know why, she gave it to me, and I instinctively gave them to Sekai, the young woman who works with them. And went, oh, you've passed the baton. And I wasn't even aware, but it felt embodied, it felt appropriate for me to pass those keys to her for that building. We've got a building in Tottenham where we begged the elder to give the keys to a group of 30-odd-year-old young people who've been there for 7 years. Let them have a set of keys, and he wouldn't. He will not. He'd rather the building tumble down on top of him than he pass the keys. And and it was, how dare you? And it's like, these young people are here for the future. They've been with you, they're paying rent, they're doing activities, they're committed to community building, work with them. And he's like, because you're facing your mortality. You're facing the fact that you've done your work. You're facing the fact that you might feel when you were powerful, you're less powerful now. And it's all those dynamics that's in there when we talk about what goes on between elders and young people. That's from our experience.
I think we've also got to say that we've led defeat.
We've
led defeats. Or
yes.
In the community have led some defeat. I mean, I'm not an elder, but I certainly know that people have had years of struggle and they've been ground out with not what they
Yeah.
Been ground out with not one, and then we were absent.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we go home, or we die, or we get sick, and tired of all those things that happen to us. Because being on the front line fighting is not easy, and it's not cute really.
I'm listening keenly to this conversation because it's one of the things that I think about a lot, being on the committee at Calvary. And I think one of the things is because these people that wouldn't let go, or seemingly wouldn't let go, I think it's because they've not been given any recognition whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think that something needs to be done by the next generation to recognise, to publicly honour these people. To say,
we've talked about that, doing a ceremony as a process.
What it demonstrates the amount of work we have to do within our communities before we can begin to look at taking on the institutions.
Yes.
Because unless some of that work is done, even we have to do some work amongst our wider allies in terms of the Somalian community who the system's now kind of grooming. I call it grooming, right? And we need to do some work with our Asian colleagues. There's a lot of work we need to do before, because to take on that system has become cute, I'll use your phrase, and has learned the lessons and has become sophisticated and has learned to learn from its own history, which we're not learning from. So
the thing is that we were only going to be here for 5 years, So when a very good friend of mine, her mother's Nigerian, and there's a story there. But she said she came to meet my mother, and she said, I didn't buy a winter coat for 5 years because I was going back to Lagos. And she's now here, and she's 80 odd. My mother died at age 90, but she's now 85. So that short-term thinking means that you don't put certain things in place. Well, now I'm 4th generation.
A lot of Windrush people did that.
Yeah, so it's a different. Now it's time to wake up and smell the coffee, because actually the majority of black people in this country are staying here. We're not going home, and we have a right to be here. The cemetery is a testament to that.
One of the things I'd say though, one of the things that if we just simply don't defend while we're being attacked, while we're trying to gather forces, we do need to put some trenches in, and we do. And I think one of the ways we build ourselves is through unity in action. So if we can agree the path of travel and start that journey and actually start some of that work, I hope by example, people with us. It won't happen spontaneously.
No.
We can't,
Yeah. And it feels like, as you said, Steve, there's a sort of groundswell of something. So, okay, I mean, this is all important conversation to get to a point where we can think about purpose. I think it's part of the journey, and I think sometimes also we're quite harsh on ourselves to kind of get to agree something when actually you're trying to find convergence in a lot of stuff that's out there. So have you put on into the centre here what you think are the main?
Yeah.
Are there other things that you wrote that don't connect with this but actually are really important?
These are just our kind of background.
Okay. Okay. What about this group here then? What did you have in terms of?
We were more about the money.
Yes. So, community wealth building.
Actually more the physical resources. So this was learn about community assets. Okay. So there's that whole mapping thing we were saying. What is? So you guys. Oh right. Okay. So that was one. This is retain and manage community assets. So not just the management, the learning how to do it. And then this is the long one. To recognise, understand what's happening, to learn and put things in place to survive, and then to sustain and thrive with regard to those assets.
So does this one sort of sit somewhere sort of here? Because this is about strengthening the voice, strengthening and building. Well, maybe it's somewhere like here.
Sorry,
yeah.
this is to do with what?
This is to do with the community building and within the community, and here's community assets actually, obtaining and retaining community assets.
Right.
So that probably goes there.
Yeah.
Is this particularly about the buildings?
That is particularly around
the building.
practical skills, not the softer
Right, okay,
networking
all
stuff.
right, okay. One, go.
Sort that out, I can put on a course because that's what I do.
Right.
Yeah,
So I can do a free course,
great,
Okay.
okay.
community asset management.
Brilliant. Well, that's, I think, in terms of the sort of framework and work plan that you come up with, that you know, is certainly one of the activities that needs to go in there. Probably for, you know, you might say we'll do it twice a year or so, in the year or something, because not everybody will come. But also in terms of examples of best practice in the country, yeah. I mean, there's examples of best practice here, and then going to look at what other parts of the country are doing. Certainly in terms of sort of locality, they still will have money for skills and knowledge visits. So you can go, they're doing a whole thing at the moment about community housing for the next year. There's going to be visits to all over the country that you can tap into, but you can also go and look at community spaces and centres in terms of examples. Kumba Imani in Liverpool's a nice example, with a millennium building there, etc., 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 just to get ideas, but you have some on your own doorstep as well, so I think it's learning from that. The other thing I'd say about the assets, you know, the one that Ben is interested in supporting the development of assets, the physical buildings, where there's some possibility of winning, right? So what we've done in the mapping is we've identified some buildings, I say winning, securing, right? Because what we found is, like with the Drum Centre at just now or the Malcolm